Davis.
Yeah, it sure does.
Davis is 4th in postseason, so a frustrating half for Martin and the Chargers as they leave the field with San Francisco leading San Diego at the half. 49ers 28, Chargers 10. Our halftime show coming up after this message and a word for ABC Station. The 49ers, who are on fire in the first half and leading by a score of 28-10 as we get set for the second half of Super Bowl 29.
And the lightning bolts right now have been reduced to a football team that just simply can't afford to make a mistake in the second half. They have to play error-free football in an attempt to slowly crawl back into this football game. And again, they'd be helped immensely by a big play on special teams, an interception, any type of a defensive score. They need some lightning to strike in their favor.
A one-hopper by Bryant to Andre Coleman. And he slips down at the 19-yard line. So they don't get, as a flag goes down, they don't get that big special teams play. But what would help immensely, obviously, for San Diego is a scoring drive to open this second half.
And, of course, we've talked about it so many times. They came from behind to beat Miami. They came from behind to beat Pittsburgh in the second
illegal
half.
block, number 37. 37 on the return. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Rodney Harrison, the numbers through the first half, 304 total yards for the 49ers.
It'd be a great game for a lot of teams, wouldn't it?
But notice the time of possession is relatively equal.
Yeah. Super Bowl record, most yards gained in a half. Washington against Denver, the great Doug Williams, Timmy Smith, Ricky Sanders game. And then the 49ers here today against Miami at Stanford after the '84 season, and Oakland against Minnesota in Super Bowl 11.
And every one of those was a first half.
Yep.
Quick starts all.
From the 9-yard line, Natron Means up to the 15, and Means, who figured to be so much a part of this game if it was close, and this, of course, is what happens to any team when you're behind, and Means now begins to hobble off. It takes him, in effect, out of the game.
Dion pats him on the back on his way out. Dion obviously delighted that he's leaving. And
Chargers opening with the two tight ends, so they're thinking run.
Yep. Looks like he's favoring his left leg somehow.
He comes out, Eric Bieniemy comes in. It's second down and 5, and they give it to Eric Bieniemy. He picks up 3. He gets to the 18-yard line. It'll be third and a yard or 2.
This is the type of running attack. Means grabbing his left ankle, but this is the type of punishing, heavy load type running attack between the tackles that both Means and Bieniemy are comfortable doing, and it's really what Bobby Beathard has tried to build with his Charger team, a big bruising offensive line, NFC type football.
Like he built with Washington, and he took the 3 Super Bowls, and it's not nearly as punishing with number 20 on the sidelines.
Exactly right.
Third down and 2 from the 18-yard line. Humphrey throws, and it is dropped, and it's killing him right now, the drop passes. Tony Martin, and that's been the story of Martin this season, either something like that or a huge play, and of course it was Martin who scored the winning touchdown against Pittsburgh.
It was also Martin who dropped the 2 long touchdown passes against the Rams. It was Martin who was plagued with the drops here in Miami for several years, and it probably ultimately led for Don Shula to make the trade to San Diego.
Ryan Wagner to punt.
That was an easy pass to catch, though.
Dexter Carter, 28-yard line. And he brings it back to the 38-yard line. A 10-yard return. And with 13:20 to go in the third, it remains an 18-point differential.
And he felt did not execute well. He's going to change his mass up from the defensive side to try and get better coverage on the receivers. And offensively, he's going to keep the same game plan, just better execution. Now let's go to Leslie Visser. Leslie?
Len, they were very professional, very demeanor. Only Ricky Jackson said, we're halfway there. George Seifert said, we've got to look for the long ball defensively and defend against it offensively. He said, we'll see more of Ricky Waters at receiver.
All right, Leslie, and they fake it to Waters, and it's Jerry Rice. So if it's not Waters, it's Rice, or it's Taylor, or it's Jones, or it's Floyd. And they just keep on coming at you, as they have against every team they have faced this season.
And there's a pass virtually impossible to defend, and wait till you see the footwork by Rice on the sideline.
But it began with Steve Young. He got the read. He knew Rice was going to be in single coverage, and Aaron Gordon's pretty good man-for-man coverage in the coverage, but he was not going to let Rice beat him deep.
What a nice tick of the right foot by Jerry Rice, getting it in bounds.
7 catches for him. Ricky Waters gets taken down by Dennis Gibson. The first to meet him after a gain of 1. It'll be 2nd down and 9 at the 45-yard line.
And we've got an injured, that's Darian Gordon, it looks like, the cornerback to that side.
An injury timeout with 12 minutes and 38 seconds now remaining in the third quarter. The Chargers, Bobby Ross in his 3rd year. His team down 28-10 as we step away for a moment. That shot, courtesy of the Bud 1 airship, the aerial ambassador of the King of Beers, looking down on Joe Robbie Stadium, Super Bowl 29. Thus far, a celebration of the 49ers and what they have accomplished this season as they seek to become the first team in history to win 5 Super Bowls. Chargers in a Super Bowl for the first time. They won 1 AFL championship in the old AFL in '63. Beat the Boston Patriots 51-10 in the championship game. 2nd down and 9. Gordon out and Van Horst in defensively in the secondary, and Young gets sacked back at his own 46-yard line by Ray Lee Johnson, a backup defensive end.
Guy only had 1.5 sacks all year long, Ray Lee Johnson, a 2nd-year guy out of Arkansas, and there's the way to get a little pub. Sack Steve Young in the second half of a Super Bowl.
Credit that sack, too, to find coverage downfield. For once, the San Diego Chargers locked up. They locked up on a man defense, and Steve Young had no place to put it.
And you can also credit a fine move by Ray Lee Johnson, a fake to the inside and then a swing back to the outside. Nicely done.
8-yard sack, 3rd and 17. They have to get to the 36 for a first down, and they get to the 32 as the catch is made for a first down at the 32-yard line by
Guess who?
Jerry Rice.
And the Chargers went right back into their 2-man deep zone. Jerry read it beautifully coming over the middle, and Steve Young right in sync with him and hitting right in front of the in front of safety man, Stanley Richard.
I guess the key, Frank, on that defense is to make sure that everything happens in front of you, no matter how deep the pattern run by the opponent. Jerry Rice,
well, you have to know
all the room in the world
is going to go for the yardage for the first down, and that's where you lock up. You don't give him 10 yards beyond that.
Darian Gordon back into the secondary as Young scrambles and hits Taylor. A flag is down. Another broken tackle, yet another. But it may all be moot. A flag is down back at the 15-yard line. John Taylor, who made the game-winning catch the last time the Super Bowl was played in the stadium following the 1988 season, and the final game coached by Bill Walsh for the 49ers. Seifer taking over the next season.
Oh, what a tough guy he is, too, Al.
7, defense, penalties declined, first down.
Dennis Gibson.
John Taylor had arthroscopic surgery in the bye week in mid-season and came back and played the next game. Never missed a game, and he's just referred to as the tough guy of this football team. Living in the shadow, and he'll play his career in the shadow of Jerry Rice and one of the great receivers in this game today, number 82.
And he's probably in better physical condition than he's been all season long.
First down at the 17-yard line. Ricky Waters picks up at about 3, losing his helmet, but holding on to the football. It'll be 2nd and 7. Lee Gibson in on the stop. 49ers, and so much was made this year about the salary cap. And the salary cap, in effect, figured to hurt teams like the 49ers and the Cowboys with the big payrolls. But Carmen Policy, to a lot of teeth gnashing, and Policy is the man on the right next to Dwight Clark in the middle.
Bill Walsh standing behind Eddie DeBartolo.
DeBartolo on the left. A lot of teeth gnashing around the league. But Paul Tagliabue kept saying, hey, look, he built a better mousetrap. Flag down, and Ricky Waters is out for no gain.
They were drawn off. The Chargers had encroached on the line of scrimmage.
A lot of 49er history standing up in that booth. With Clark in the middle.
Yep.
One of the most famous
Offside.
receptions.
Number 91, defense, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Leslie O'Neal.
And we haven't heard a lot of Leslie O'Neal, and we have not really heard a great deal of Junior Seau, the all-world middle linebacker. And what a block by Steve Wallace, who just pounds Junior Seau about 5 or 6 yards off the ball. What a block by Wallace. Wears that extra shell on his helmet because of earlier concussive problems. What a fine block by Wallace.
2nd and 3, and Ricky Wallace cuts it back for the touchdown.
Steve Young raised his arms. He made the change at the line of scrimmage, read the defense, knew what he had to go to, knew the play he wanted, made the change, touchdown 49ers. I tell you, they're awesome.
They are now playing against themselves in a way. They're playing against the greatest teams in San Francisco history. That's the only question right now.
Boy, and you watch number 8 direct this offense. I asked him the question. I said, what winning the Super Bowl mean to you? And he said, it would be the pinnacle. I feel like I've been climbing a mountain over the last few years. I'd slide back about 10 or 15 feet, and then sometimes I felt like I was going to fall off that mountain. Says, if I get to the top, I will have reached the pinnacle of my career.
Well, Bart Oates at center, Derek Deese at right guard, Jesse Sapalo at left guard, Wallace at left tackle, Barton at right tackle are kicking butt right now. They've got the Chargers on the run, and Junior and his guys are on their way out.
35-10.
To his defensive unit, there is an awful lot of football yet to be played here. Almost 24, well, there's 24 and a half minutes left to go in this football game, and defensively, the Chargers have folded up their tent, and he's trying to get them to drive a few stakes back in the ground.
Now Andre Coleman takes the kickoff. Andre almost breaks it, brings it back out to the 37-yard line, and he's taken down there by Dana Hall. Here it was. There was Ross talking to the defense.
And granted, they are playing a sensational football team, but there's a lot at stake here for the San Diego Chargers. And obviously, I'm not talking about the outcome of this ball game, but there's an embarrassment factor and a humiliation factor that none of these guys wants to be exposed to, and how they play from here on out is going to have a lot to do with how they're judged.
1st and 10 from the 36-yard line as Natron Means back in the game. Takes it out to the 40-yard line. He is stopped there by Ken Norton, who's attempting to become the first man ever to play on 3 consecutive Super Bowl winning teams, twice a Cowboy and now a 49er.
You know, one of the interesting things that happened last year to the 49ers when they lost the NFC Championship game, it meant that George Seifert was coach of the Pro Bowl team, and he went to Hawaii, and he had a long talk with Ken Norton Jr., and he talked with Ricky Jackson, he talked to Richard Dent, and all of a sudden, they became 49ers. He got to know them, and he saw how they could fit into the 49ers scheme of things.
2nd down and 6, and the catch is made by Alfred Papuno. A great catch, skirting the sideline, out of bounds at the 36-yard line.
Papuno, the hero of the Pittsburgh Steelers game with his 43-yard touchdown reception, and they like to hide him and then kind of leak him out.
You know what's kind of been lost in this game is how well I think Stan Humphries is throwing the football.
That could not have been thrown better.
No, that's just perfect. And he has thrown the ball well. He's put the ball on the hands of a lot of receivers, and the balls have been dropped.
A couple of critical drops, too. They could have put him back in the game. Natron Means picks up 3 to the 33-yard line. He's tackled there by Norton.
I don't mean to demean anyone, but Sean Jefferson and Mark Say and Dwayne Young are not John Taylor, Jerry Rice, and Brent Jones. And this man has got a tremendous arm. He's got a great heart. One of Bobby Beathard's draft picks for the Washington Redskins. Got him, I think, in the 4th round or 3rd round several years ago, and traded for him in '92. And he will be a good quarterback for the Chargers for a long time to come.
A couple old Saints locked up here, Stan Brock and Ricky Jackson.
2nd and 7. Humphries guns one, and that's incomplete at the 25-yard line, a little bit behind Mark Say. You know, you were talking about the receivers not being comparable to the 49ers, Frank. that was one of the questions about the Chargers coming into the year as well. Anthony Miller was their leading receiver last year and a good one. He opted to go to Denver. They lost their leading receiver and their leading rusher, Marion Butts. Both left, and this team winds up going to the Super Bowl.
Mark Say had not caught an NFL pass. The wide receiver for the San Diego Chargers. And this year, he caught 58.
Third down and 7. Good protection. He guns it to the 27, and it's incomplete. And again, a drop ball, Sean Jefferson. Hit as the ball gets there, and it's 4th down.
Now, we talked about a 4-down series when you're 35-10, even in the halfway through the third quarter. Even though you need 6 yards, you're going to go for it. 7 yards, whatever it is, you're going to go. And good hit by another Pro Bowl bound 49er, Tim McDonald.
4th and 7, down by 25. They go for it as Humphries takes a deep drop and then throws incomplete, but a flag comes down. 2 receivers and 2 defenders in the area.
Martin is saying is Eric Davis pushing off him.
Well, Eric Davis is the guy that nearly intercepted the ball.
49ers are saying we'll decline
Pass
its
interference.
offense.
Number 82, offense. Penalty is declined. First down.
That's Mark Say, and the Charger wide receivers are taking turns being involved in plays that are not helping their ball club. How's that for being diplomatic?
That's not the best I've heard in a long time.
You're going right to the UN. 7:25 left in the third. 35-10, 49ers.
Say is number 82. Watch his left hand here and how he gets it on the face mask. You see it on the face mask there of Tyrone Drakeford, and that's what really draws the attention of the officials. Granted, Drakeford has his arms wrapped around him as well, but it was, I think, the fact that Say led with his arms first and then got the left hand up on the face mask that brought that flag.
And William Floyd is the recipient of this Steve Young pass for a 9-yard gain. Meanwhile, you saw Ross, how angry he was before. How about Natron Means while we were away for commercial? Here was his act.
And just keep in mind, this is a 22-year-old youngster who obviously has got a lot of spirit, a lot of pride, and he is chewing on some pretty big people.
Well, those are the rest of his offensive teammates, and frustration is certainly going to boil over with the Chargers. They are not in a spot that anybody would want to be in right now.
2nd and 1 at the 43. Floyd close to a first. You know, the Chargers came in a situation, a lot of teams who get to big games, whether it's the Stanley Cup Finals, the World Series, or the Super Bowl, and are not expected to be there. Everybody says, well, isn't it good enough? I mean, isn't it good enough to be? And you try to convince yourself, no, it's not. But then in retrospect, you begin to think in the offseason, you know what? We were just happy to be there.
Yep. Well, it's how you start the season. The San Francisco 49ers started the season, and in their mind, the end of their successful season was winning this game. I don't think the San Diego Chargers looked that far ahead. Nor should they have, because it's just, that would have been really naive and I think a little over-realistic on their part.
And you talk about how they start the season. They started with 6 straight wins, and they actually went 5-5 for the remainder of the season.
Yep. And meanwhile, the NFC now is working on 11 consecutive Super Bowl victories, the majority of them very convincing.
And looking at a season in 1995, the regular season this fall, where you still have San Francisco and Dallas as the dominant teams in the league. Young wrapped up at the 40-yard line. Junior Seau.
Which, you know, Al, you mentioned Dallas and San Francisco. You know, there are people out there who say it's time to abandon the conference matchup in the Super Bowl and go to some sort of a seeding system where you seed the teams. If 12 are in the playoffs, you seed them 1 through 12. And obviously this year, I think it would have been a no-brainer that Dallas and San Francisco would have been the number 1 and number 2 seeds in opposite brackets.
3rd down and 14.
Don't look for it coming to the NFL anytime soon.
like that, it's a guaranteed flag.
And
that's Darian Gordon.
He's grabbing the receiver, Jerry Rice. Rice trying to run a fly, and Steve Young trying to get in between the zone. And Darian Gordon suspected he might, and he grabbed him.
Defense, first down.
Here he is on the outside. Actually, he's locked up man for man. You can't touch him after 5 yards.
Can't do it. Just can't do it, no matter how much you want to. No matter how much you need to. You just can't.
22-yard penalty. 5:41 left in the third. San Francisco leading 35-10. First down, 49ers at the 38-yard line. Singleton in motion. Waters swinging to the outside, and the rookie picks up a first down. Derek Deese with the block. Darren Carrington with the tackle.
You know, and Derek Deese has been so much for these 49ers. They struggled in the early part of the season. One of the main reasons they had so many of their offensive linemen who were hurt. When Tam went down, Derek Deese came off the bench and has filled in ever since the second game.
Good lead block on this play by Derek Deese, the right guard. And one of the things the 49ers as an offensive line do so well is that they get their linemen out in front of plays that are around the corner, outside the perimeter of where you would think offensive linemen in today's game can get to. That's how well these guys run.
Here's Waters, and he's taken down by Sean Lee.
Well, they don't have anyone that starts in that offensive line over 280 pounds. Harris Barton may be right around there, but they are quick, and they get in, and they tie up the legs and make things happen.
They had a good look there at Ralph Tam, who actually was the starter at right guard this year and nursed a foot injury that caused him to miss most of the season. A question will be Bart Oates and his future with the 49ers, and if he comes back to this team next year, and what kind of shuffling happens around the inside of that line. Sapola moved from center to guard and made the Pro Bowl in another position.
2nd and 10. Young on the run and steps out of bounds at the 12-yard line. A first down.
And if Bart Oates is on his way to another Pro Bowl.
And he's on his way to getting his 3rd Super Bowl ring.
Well, like any
picked up a pair with the New York Giants.
Like a lot of teams, they'll have to do some retooling, but they're in pretty good shape. A lot of guys with long-term contracts, and they're all set. Oates, of course, one of those fellas who's at an age where, you know, you begin to wonder, do we look for a replacement for him?
Well, and also Bart is one of those guys that you don't know if he's going to continue to play because he has a lot of options. He's a lawyer and
practices law, lives in New Jersey. He's got a lovely family, and you don't know what he's going to do.
Here's Waters. And he's taken out of bounds.
Takes a shot at Darian Gordon.
Sayal helping to escort him. He's trying to become the first man, could become the first man in history to score 4 touchdowns in a Super Bowl game. Roger Craig scored 3 against Miami in Super Bowl 19, and then Jerry Rice in Super Bowl 24 with 3, and Waters tonight.
On that graphic, I think we should use Roman numerals instead of the 3s over there. We've got all the Roman numerals on the left. I think we need some Roman numerals over there on the right.
Oh, man.
This is the Super Bowl. Only Roman numerals are acceptable here.
Dexter Carter comes in. He, too, works well out of the backfield as a receiver, coming in for Ricky Waters.
Young on 2nd and 13. John Taylor gets hit by Gordon as the pass comes into his territory. Ray Lee Johnson, who had the sack earlier, decking Young.
And one of the few times tonight that this man, Steve Young, has been pressured.
We've seen, I think it's about the only time tonight that we have seen both the quarterback and the receiver dropped on the same play.
And the 49ers are going to take a timeout with a 3rd and 13 upcoming. 3:25 left in the third. The 49ers 35 and the Chargers 10.
Welcome to the big game, and today's favorite takes the field. Leading the league in carries. Unbelievable. I'll say it again, you just can't win without a strong defense. Man, I'm here to tell you, impressive running game out there. The new Ford Explorer, far and away the best the world has to offer. Look at that. Perfect field position.
Now, an oil made just for your hard-working engine. 4x4 from Quaker State. Off-roading, extreme temperatures, towing and hauling. They all make your light truck or 4x4 work extra hard and could shorten its life. Why settle for a conventional car oil? Get 4x4 from Quaker State.
Now, an independent test showed 4x4 superior to leading conventional car oils in protecting against deposits that can shorten engine life.
Morning, guys. Just when you think your diarrhea medicine is working.
Oh, boy. What's wrong?
It can let you down. But you can count on Imodium AD to stop diarrhea, often in just one dose, instead of dose after dose, more than a third of a bottle of the pink stuff. And Imodium AD is even better than the leading prescription.
I told you we should have stopped for Imodium AD.
Imodium AD, one dose relief you can count on.
Hey, Deion Sanders, what are you doing tomorrow night?
Hey, prime time to be at the American Music Awards, and you know it's all good. Hey.
The American Music Awards live tomorrow here on ABC.
And then after you see Deion tomorrow, you'll see him next Sunday, a week from tonight, 6 o'clock Eastern Time, 3 Pacific. We'll be in Honolulu for the Pro Bowl. And then in 2 weeks, the State Farm U.S. Figure Skating Championships on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Both daytime and nighttime on the 11th of February.
4:30 and 8 o'clock.
Yes, sir. 10 49ers will be in the Pro Bowl next Sunday. It's 3rd and 13 at the 15 after the timeout. Young throws. Jerry Rice. Touchdown. San Francisco.
What a pair. Jerry landed awkwardly in the end zone. He looked like he took a shot on the left side again when he went down.
From Sean Van Horst.
Yeah.
Jerry Rice just taking it downfield, planting and driving off the left foot. Steve Young drilling it in.
I think Steve Young walking around, he's a human exclamation point with that score that puts the 49ers into the 40s.
On their way to 49 because they'll have 42 in a second.
6 Super Bowl touchdown receptions for Rice. Is that correct, Doc?
Jerry Rice, most ever. Yep. Doug Bryan for the point after.
And 5 Lombardi trophies will belong to the 49ers, more than anybody else.
Steve Young is now 22 of 30 for 316 yards and 5 touchdown passes. Rice, 9 receptions.
And if you're wondering, 0 interceptions.
Steve Young on his way to a rating of about 300.
Look at this move, right behind a little move behind another receiver. And again, Richard playing deep in the end zone. That's not a good way to get into the coverage.
You know, Jerry started to glide a little bit there when he went into the end zone. He actually started to slow down and took kind of an awkward shot. Right here, I think Jerry's just not going all out and lands a little bit awkwardly.
The 49ers, it's a familiar scene. A lot of celebrating going on the bench well before games have been over. All during the regular season. And, of course, you know, the stories you've read and heard so much through the years in the shadow of Joe Montana. Steve Young finally emerging now and on his way tying a Super Bowl record set by Joe in Super Bowl 24. That was the game in New Orleans where they destroyed the Denver Broncos 55-10.
He eclipsed a couple of other Montana season records for the 49ers. He had 70.3 completions on the year. He had a rating of 112.8.
I'm glad Jerry Rice has scored in this ball game because he is in many ways the heart and soul of this football team. In the way he works, the way he approaches practice, he, I think, as much as anybody, if not more than anybody, personifies the San Francisco 49ers.
Here's Andre Coleman taking off. He gets by the kicker, Bryan. He's being chased by Troy Cook. And Andre Coleman, traced now by Drakeford, scores a touchdown. 98 yards for Coleman.
Well, we knew they had special team explosiveness demonstrated there by Coleman, who didn't even have to break a tackle, did he? I'm not sure a 49er ever touched him.
That's Andre Coleman, not Darian Gordon, who has returned kicks for touchdowns this year for the San Diego Chargers.
Remember the last time these two teams played, Doug Bryan made a sliding whiplash kick tackle. He's confronted right here.
But forget it.
Went the conventional way and didn't get it done.
Coleman returned 2 kickoffs for touchdowns this season. That ties a Super Bowl record. Fulton Walker of Miami against Washington in 1983, 98 yards for a touchdown. And the Chargers, who are now down 42-16, will line up for 2. So another Super Bowl first time a 2-point conversion has ever been attempted. And Humphreys throws, and let it be duly noted that Mark Say caught a Humphreys pass for a deuce.
Goes in the record books.
Yep. To make it 42-18.
And really, when you stop and think about it, a very quick pattern over the middle right here. Stan just makes the read and throw. Again, another fine throw by Stan Humphreys. But you know what's really symbolic here is, and very critical to the outcome of this, they're down to 24 points, which, as you know, is 3 touchdowns and 3 2-point conversions. Chargers only 3 scores behind right now.
Right. We have, speaking of Fulton Walker and the mark that was tied by Coleman, you can compare the 2 runs, the run here by Coleman and this one taking place in the Miami-Washington Super Bowl in 1983. Super Bowl 17. The Dolphin getting loose down the left sideline. A game played at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. He is now joined by Andre Coleman in the record book.
What an exciting play that is with the new rule this year. And we saw so many more of them return for touchdowns and big yardage.
Well, the new rules have generally been extremely well received. Scoring a little bit up, that's what the league wanted. And again, they didn't want to revamp the game.
No.
You wanted to tweak it, and that's exactly what they did.
Didn't get any gross exaggerations. They got what they looked for, and again, particularly on the kick return.
Well, the kickoff return, in my mind, has always been one of the more exciting plays of the game, and anything you can do to incorporate more of them into a ball game, why not?
Well, John Carney to kick off. 49ers have 5 men up 10 yards from the line of scrimmage just in case. But he sends it down to the 19-yard line, and it is taken there by Dexter Carter, who goes down at the 27. Well, Steve Young already 5 touchdown passes. And here he comes with almost 18 minutes remaining in the game. And here is one of the marks he'll attempt to eclipse. Joe Montana in the game in George Seifert's rookie year as a head coach in the Superdome against Denver. Biggest rout in Super Bowl history. There was one of the touchdown tosses to John Taylor as the 49ers won their 4th Super Bowl.
Jones and Taylor still right here.
Didn't they ring the bell 55 times?
They did, to 10. Young throws underneath, and John Taylor can't hold on. Briggs was covering, and Steve Young, who was shaken up on the last series, is wringing his right elbow and wrist.
Grabbing the right forearm. Of course, you know, he's left-handed. That's his non-throwing arm, but still, he's got a little blood there, a little scrape on the right on the wrist. Let's see if we can see anything here.
I think it happened before. No,
Oh, there it is.
Right there.
A helmet right on the outside of his hand, right at the wrist area.
2nd and 10 at the 28-yard line. And Steve gets taken down, and again it is Ray Lee Johnson.
Ray Lee, number 2.
More than he had the entire regular season.
Just a second-year guy gets his 2nd sack. Of course, that's a sack that comes about because Steve doesn't find anything downfield, tries to move. Looks like he's about to take off again. He's flushed from the pocket in one direction. And good work by the front 4 of the Chargers.
3rd down and 13 at the 25-yard line. 49ers on top, 42-18. Young throws. Waters makes the catch, and he is tackled. Coming up to make the stop, the rookie Willie Clark. Well, at least the Chargers have a mini pulse right now.
And the crowd is getting into it. Super Bowl crowds are kind of different. You don't have a hometown crowd to come up with the big noise for you. People travel from all over, many of them, of course, from California with the 2 California teams, but it is a different crowd, just not the same volume. Fine open field tackle by the rookie from Notre Dame, a 3rd-round pick this year.
Klaus Wilmsmeyer, his 2nd punt of the game.
And Darian Gordon is one of the more accomplished punt return men in the NFL.
He's run 2 back 4 touchdowns this season.
He can make something happen.
190 and 175 yards.
Fair catch is called for and made at the 28-yard line. So Wilmsmeyer does his job, a 44-yard boot and no return with 1:22 left in the 3rd. And a shot of downtown Miami. It's about 15 miles from here. Half hour without any traffic. An hour and a half tonight.
Quite a city, too. Came back from the hurricane disaster of a few years ago, and all South Florida areas. The South Beach has turned into a real mecca for people, a tourist attraction. The whole Miami Beach area beginning to get rejuvenated.
Well, here are the Chargers at the 28-yard line, 1st and 10. And it's incomplete as he throws into double coverage. Hanks was there along with McDonald on a pass intended for Sean Jefferson. 2nd down.
Once again, there, I'm sure, was a temptation on the part of Stan Humphries to try to go deep to Tony Martin, who was locked up one-on-one on Deion Sanders. And again, what Sanders will do for you, you can leave him on man-for-man coverage, and he's going to lock up again on Martin. And you get to roll the other way and double cover both the tight end and the wide receiver. He lets you do a lot of things, Deion Sanders.
49ers with a 4-1-6 defense, 6 defensive backs here. And the catch was made by Sean Jefferson up at the 34-yard line, tackled by Eric Davis.
Once again, Sanders one-on-one on Tony Martin, but Humphries doesn't go there. He knew it was single coverage. He came to the opposite side of the field, and there was double coverage on Jefferson.
3rd and 4. And the catch is made by Alfred Papuno, but he is stopped at the 37-yard line by Tyrone Drakeford. And is a little short of the 1st down.
Boy, that was a good hit by Drakeford on a much bigger man. Papuno, 265 pounds. Drakeford, a svelte 185. That was a good hard hit.
And the Chargers will go for it here. 4th and 1. They have to with only 25 seconds left in the 3rd. 42-18. They're trying to stay in the game, but they have to convert right here. Natron Means is the tailback. They give it to him. Nothing there, so he has to come back the other way. Humphries blocks McDonald, but then Hanks comes up from the secondary, and Means is taken down.
And you credit all of that to Tyrone Drakeford and the hit he puts on Alfred Papuno, bringing up this 4th down. Now, that was a play where everybody in the 49er defense was involved, but it never comes about if it's not for Drakeford's hit on Papuno.
And Merton Hanks, as Means tried to swing it out to the left. There's but a good blow delivered there by Lee Woodall, one of the rookie starters that we talked about. Now watch Hanks playing it so well.
Lee Woodall, you named him, Frank. Excellent shedding of the block at the point of attack.
Yep. He broke the play up, did Woodall, because that's where Means wanted to go, and after that it was all improvisation. 8 seconds to go in the quarter, and it is knocked down by Leslie O'Neal, intended for Ted Popson.
Now that would have been fun if Leslie would have caught that. That'd have been a one-on-one with Leslie and Steve Young. That's a play where O'Neal's not blocked. He's left alone on the backside. It's up to the quarterback to get it past him. Leslie O'Neal, one of the fine defensive ends in the game, had none of it.
Steve Young comes into the huddle now and he looks around. I think probably with Mike Shanahan he's talked to. He said, who haven't we got into this game tonight? Let's get him into it.
2nd and 10 at the 32-yard line. Ricky Waters to the outside and is out of bounds, a little short of the 1st down as time expires. in the third quarter. End of 3. San Francisco 42, San Diego 18. Back with the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl. After this word from our ABC stations. Super Bowl from Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami. The San Francisco 49ers 15 minutes away from an unprecedented 5th Super Bowl win. 3rd down and 2 as play begins in the fourth quarter. Steve Young, who's already thrown 5 touchdown passes, gives the ball to Ricky Waters inside the 20 and out of bounds at the 11-yard line.
So typical of the way that the evening has gone for San Diego. You see Junior Seau, who comes on an inside blitz, and Ricky Waters takes it to the outside. This
very familiar looking play, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it's typical of what's happened all night tonight. San Francisco has just literally had their way with San Diego any which way they wanted to.
If you have one problem, you pointed out already, they're a little fatigued. It's very humid here. It's about 80 degrees at the start of the game. And with the 49ers, they do a lot of pulling. Their offensive line, it's hard work tonight.
I'll guarantee you that San Diego is a lot more tired right now than in San Francisco.
They're going to feel it a lot more. You know that.
Ricky Waters picks up about 4. Well, you know, we opened up our Monday night schedule this year with the 49ers against the Raiders, and everybody thought the Raiders were maybe the best team in the AFC, certainly one of the 2 or 3 best. The Niners looked fabulous that night. Hit a bump the next week losing to Kansas City, and then, you know, again, that crazy game against Philadelphia. But outside of that, they have been on an incredible roll this year.
And then we talked earlier, the next week coming back and winning 27-21 against Detroit after being down by 14, and they never looked back since then.
Young to Rice, and that's incomplete against Steve Young with a 6-touchdown pass. If it happens, would be the first in history to accomplish that, and that would really be the exclamation mark to this incredible season for him. And George Seifert looking for his 2nd Super Bowl title.
I think after that pass, George Seifert is incredulous.
Yeah.
That actually was a poor throw by Steve Young.
Super Bowl.
Maybe I should give him the hook.
Yeah. Bigger and bigger, doesn't it? Over 170 countries looking in tonight, many of them broadcasting in their own language. And it's like a Tower of Babel almost up here as we walk along the press box with the foreign languages that are broadcasting being hit.
Rice making the catch, stretching and reaching, touchdown San Francisco. A clinic.
And I think Jerry is saying, don't haul me up yet. There he is. Good. I thought for a minute that he was a little banged up.
The slant.
And I believe
times have we seen that?
That's the record for Steve Young. That's 5 touchdown passes in this game, breaking the record of Joe Montana in the Super Bowl. Wow. What do you say?
Look at the little move to the outside, so familiar. Breaking it back to the inside. Steve Young right there with the football. Dwayne Harper, the victim.
Oh, that's a beautiful look, guys. Beautiful look. Spiraling the ball down low. Harper has no play on it whatsoever. Rice, a big receiver. You know, it just doesn't. These guys make touchdown passes, and scoring at this pace just look, again, so routine and so ordinary. That's such a mark of brilliance.
Has a ring to it. 49ers 49, San Diego 18.
You know, for a great player, this is tough to take. And Junior Seau is a great football player.
Yes, sir.
One of the best to ever play that position. Almost literally taken out of tonight's game.
Ryan kicks off, fielded up at the 13-yard line. Here's Coleman, who's already run one back 98 for a touchdown. Out to the 38-yard line. He's tackled there by Adam Walker.
Elvis Gerbach is warming up on the 49ers sideline. You have to wonder if Steve Young and his assault, that's his season, and those are numbers that look like an average game for Steve Young. Steve doing some heavy fan action over on the sidelines. Normally when a QB dons the old baseball cap, it's looking like his night is over.
From the 38-yard line, Humphreys throws. Ronnie Harmon makes the catch. And he's tackled there by Eric Davis. So the 49ers, 5 Super Bowl victories after tonight in 5 appearances. Twice they beat it in Cincinnati. Once they took care of Miami. Once Denver. And now on their way to disposing of San Diego as Humphreys throws incomplete.
Fine coverage once again. Stan Humphreys having time to throw the ball, and that's good coverage downfield.
Well, one of the things we promised Dwight Clark, Al, down on the field before the game was that we would compare this edition of the San Francisco 49ers to some of those great ones back in the early and mid-'80s that he played on. And, of course, it's all speculative, but wow, what a collection this group here is.
Pretty tough. 3rd down and 5. And the catch is made up at the 49-yard line. That should be a first down with forward progress. Ronnie Harmon. Most people, I think, feel of all the teams, the 84 team.
That was the 18-1 team.
Right. They lost to Pittsburgh in the regular season, rolled through the playoffs. There it is. Most points in one postseason. The Niners have just eclipsed that mark. Their 89 team with 126, and Dallas in 92 is 3rd. Humphreys airs it out and out of bounds. Sean Jefferson couldn't hold it, and he was out anyway.
And Humphreys is down and having a hard time getting up. Ankle or knee, grabbing on his left leg.
Oh, look at.
He's still trying to get a huddle so he can get a play called. They've called timeout.
Terry Markwright calling an official's timeout, and that means we're going to see Gail Gilbert, a guy who has been to the Super Bowl now 5 consecutive years. He was the number 3 quarterback at Buffalo the last 4 years.
Which means the result is the same.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, he got stretched out.
Yeah, there you can see that's Bryant Young rolling up the back of the legs of Stan Humphreys. And when Stan Humphreys leaves the football game, you know he is hurt. This guy has a pain threshold that eclipses most normal human beings. This is a tough guy.
One of the key game for the Chargers early on this year. He went out with a sprained knee, and they were down by, 10 points, and he came back in the next series and brought them back to a win over the Raiders.
And he also only missed 1 game after having surgery done on his left elbow. So here is Gail Gilbert, 2nd down and 10 at the 50-yard line, 12:34 remaining. 49-18 49ers. And Dan, we started to talk about that 84 team generally recognized as the best until now.
Gail Gilbert, only 3 starts in an NFL career that's spanned 9 years. Living behind Jim Kelly and Frank Reich.
Buffalo. Gilbert starts to slip, but
what a way to begin.
Takes it down to the 43-yard line on an improvisation move, working on Humphreys. Steve Young and Jerry Rice keynoting this team, the 84 team, of course, with Montana, the emerging Roger Craig,
Ronnie
White
Lott.
Clark, yep, Ronnie Lott. 3rd down and 3. Say pushed out of bounds. Their other championship, their first one was one that came out of nowhere in Bill Walsh's 3rd year to beat Cincinnati. Then the 84 team. The 88 team was an interesting team. They were 6-5 at one point that season, but roared at the end and won. And the 89 team was Seifert's first year, and they destroyed the Broncos in the Super Bowl. And the 90 team was a great team as well. They came within a Roger Craig fumble and a Matt Barr field goal of going to a Super Bowl. Instead, it was the Giants who went on to beat Buffalo.
None of them were chopped liver.
No. Harmon.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Nice little piece of athleticism there by Tyrone Drakeford. He did a nice job of keeping Harmon on his feet and then letting go at the last minute and tap dancing right over the top of the bench. Don't try that in your living room.
Very interesting.
Unless you're Edwin Moses.
There it is again.
Watch Drakeford go over the top of that thing.
Good move.
I guess.
I have to say, I find it interesting that they have not gone at Deion Sanders as they said they would all week long. They have avoided him with the exception of a couple of plays in the first quarter.
2nd and 10, flags all over the joint.
Well, there were multiple 49ers on San Diego's side of the ball.
Sort of a weird alignment. If you look at the Chargers, the way they lined up, I think they might have had 1 guy on the line of scrimmage.
Offside, number 92, defense. 5-yard penalty, second down.
They were in kind of a rainbow formation.
They were.
Things change dramatically. When you take your regular quarterback who takes all the snaps in practice and has played in all the games, you take him out of there, and there's your rainbow.
Yeah. I don't think Jerry Markwright and the boys have, I don't think they have the heart to throw many flags at San Diego right now.
Remember, you need at least 7 guys on the line of scrimmage. Here's Harmon taking it down to the 10-yard line. Tackled by McDonald.
Ronnie Harmon, born in Bayside, Queens in New York, still lives there. One of the fine receivers out of the backfield of the NFL.
Up 58 this season, but geez, the 2 previous seasons he had 73 and 79 catches.
Humphreys throws. Harmon's brother Derek, as he's out of bounds, the play is dead at the 7. His brother Derek played for the 49ers. Ahmed, 1984
team.
The
Super Bowl, right?
The amazing thing about the 49ers through this stretch, going back to, let's say, 1981, their first Super Bowl winning team, is only once over that period have they been out of contention, and that was in '82, the strike season, when they finished 3-6. In every other season, they have either been in the playoffs or right there. Gilbert throws, and at the goal line, it is Tyrone Drake breaking it up, intended for Alfred Papuno.
Drakefield's had himself quite a football game. Second-round pick this year, a rookie out of Virginia Tech.
He's been around the football tonight, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Guy you wouldn't expect. A good look at the neutron bomb.
You don't mean that he bombed, did it?
No.
That's what they call it.
No, that's what they call it.
3rd down and 6 from the 7-yard line. Gilbert throws, and that's broken up. And they come out of everywhere. Here's Dion.
That's about the only thing missing tonight is Dion taking one of those guys and going about 95 yards with it.
Dion, just a little mini dance step, a couple of mincing steps right there.
Charles Mincy.
right.
He's had a pretty good play on this. Read it well. Quickly closes.
And that's what's extraordinary. Don't be confused about that right hand across to the back. That was
holding
in after. Oh, I think that was after the play. Frank. I'll finish my own sentences, thank you.
4th down and 6. And Gilbert flips one, and that is picked off, and why not? What's a Super Bowl without a Deion Sanders interception? And then Ronnie Harmon comes in and bangs into the turf at the 11-yard line.
Oh, and Ronnie Harmon is barking at him also.
Well, that's one way for Deion to get hit. That's
Deion saying, take a look at this on the replay, man.
No, Deion's saying, take a look at the scoreboard. I know exactly what he's saying.
9:41 left.
The ultimate cruel cut on the field is telling your opponent to take a look at the scoreboard.
Here's William Floyd taking it to the 20. William Floyd trying to become the first guy to play on a national championship team and then start for a Super Bowl winner in back-to-back years since Tony Dorsett, who played at Pitt and then went to the Super Bowl as a starter in his rookie season with the Cowboys.
He just fits so well into this 49er attack. He's a superb blocker, really a gifted blocker, but more than that, he can run the football, and Jerry Rice is going to come off. He is going to get an ovation.
I think what Seifert's going to do is bring out his guys one by one, if he can, and let them hear it from the crowd.
Again, this is a Super Bowl crowd. It's different than it would be.
Here's Floyd
in San Francisco,
taking it up to the 26-yard line.
Yeah, and he'll do it to Steve Young here before long.
Timeout is whistled by Jerry Markwright as Reuben Davis is injured. And they work on him on the field. The Goodyear blimp Stars and Stripes is hovering above Joe Robbie Stadium. The Super Bowl 29 winds down, and it's a coronation of the San Francisco 49ers on a night when Steve Young has a fabulous night, Jerry Rice a fabulous night, Ricky Waters and all the rest.
If you take those numbers and factor in Jerry's game back in December against the Chargers, where he had 12 receptions for 140 something.
He got a mile.
3 Super Bowls, 28 receptions, 512 yards, 7 touchdowns.
I think the Chargers
How is
have
it
seen
possible?
enough of this guy. He made 12 catches against them in the regular season meeting in San Diego, and then 10 tonight. And we will see Jerry next Sunday, as Jerry Rice will be the recipient of one of those. And it will be the third such ring for maybe the best receiver of all time. Steve Young, at the age of 33, capping his brilliant season. Steve, the backup to Montana, so he has a couple of rings. In fact, Young did play in the Super Bowl following the '89 season. But it's a little different tonight.
Yes, sir.
Reuben Davis assisted from the field. It is 1st and 10 at the 26-yard line. And they give it to Floyd. Tackled by David Griggs.
You look at the 49ers, and so much has been made of George Seifert and Carmen Policy and Eddie DeBartolo and their handling of free agency. How about the way they've handled their draft? You think about this as a team built of just free agents, but to think that they have 3 rookie starters on this football team, when you think of Rice, John Taylor, who's getting to come out of the game, Steve Young, and all of these veterans, but 3 rookie starters, all highly productive, and William Floyd, Bryant Young, and Lee Woodall. It's a perfect meld of youth, of veterans, of high-priced and high-profile free agents, and this is one of the best marriages of talent I have ever seen.
And not a bad run of luck either. Lee Woodall was drafted as a safety out of Westchester State.
And now here's
Deion comes in on offense.
Here we go.
I think if they go to him, and one of the things they worked on is
what do you think?
Work out of a slot.
Yeah, what do you think Bobby Ross's opinion is of this right about now? I bet you his blood pressure just went up a few.
It's 3rd and 13. Sanders was...
Oh, no!
Why, they're going to go deep to Deion. And he's double covered, and it's incomplete at the 38-yard line.
He went by
back there.
He went by Darian Gordon like Gordon was going backwards.
Stanley Richard, though, roaming free safety, had that spotted all the way.
But look at Gordon. Gordon just lets him go. Right here, Deion is 4 yards downfield from Darian Gordon.
And Richard coming over had the inside coverage and Gordon the outside, but he really
got
separated
there.
from
You know
Gordon.
what? Richard got there before the ball. He timed that pretty well, but he actually hit Deion before the football arrived.
They're not going to let Deion come down there all alone.
Wilmsmeyer's punt dropped by Gordon. Fumbled again. The ball is loose. And the Chargers are able to recover at the 28-yard line. Lewis Bush with the recovery. Well, Deion said, I signed with the 49ers because I wanted to get a chance to go to the Super Bowl and win it. And he's going to do just that.
Well, showed a little mercy against San Diego.
Carmen Policy said, we want to keep him, and he wants us to find a way to keep him next year. He loves the Bay Area. His endorsements are worth more if he plays with the 49ers. He could be back. Harmon. And one way they may keep him is to keep him interested in getting in occasionally on offense, as he did just there before the break.
Well, you have to wonder about it at this state of this game, 49-10, but maybe they went, take a look at it. And,
so, Al, you're insinuating that that's a dangling of the carrot by George Seifert?
The 49ers love to dangle a lot of carrots.
They got a lot of carrots.
Yeah, they have a lot of carrots on those rings, I'll tell you that. 2nd down and 10 at the 28-yard line. Humphreys back in, and Humphreys going deep, and that's picked off by Toy Cook, the former Saint.
Boy, did he time that beautifully.
28-yard line.
Beautifully timed by the veteran from Stanford. Free agent from New Orleans. And, well, we could use a little less of this.
Well, 7 years you toil in New Orleans, and here you get your shot at the big brass ring, and I'm not going to blame Toy Cook for being a little over exuberant, and it's a pretty nice play, and this is a guy 7 years down there, 1 year here in San Francisco. He's got a little to let loose. Go ahead.
Yeah,
blow it off.
I just kind of like what Steve Young did. 6 touchdown passes, and he handled kind of gracefully. Rice, 149 yards, 10 receptions, 3 touchdowns. Pretty classy.
Toy taking his bows in front of a crowd that's about a third of what it was during the rest of the game as Ricky Waters swings to the outside. You know, you look around, most of the seats $200, and they were going for as much as $2,000. And now I think you can buy one of the choice ones for about $10. Mr. and Mrs. Griff Young, Steve's parents.
Still like their home in Greenwich, Connecticut. Where Steve played high school for the Greenwich Cardinals under Mike Ornato.
And I think we're going to see Steve coming out of the game.
Here he comes.
Here he comes.
They still love him in their hometown, too.
You know what? You like this guy in anybody's town. It's
Class
hard
all the way.
It's hard to dislike him in San Diego.
2nd and 12, and Floyd up to the 31-yard line, tackled by O'Neal.
I'm sure it's, you know, it's begrudging, but even if you're a Charger fan, you have to admire greatness, even if it's the opponent.
3 playoff games now. Chicago, Dallas, the Super Bowl.
Look at
no interceptions.
Put that back up. 6 touchdowns. That's one of those things you can't look at this. Now, you know, you got to look at that for a while to make sure that that's actually correct.
Ed DeBartolo is down on the field.
That's a great job.
You look at that thing and you think that's a mistake. 6 touchdowns.
3rd down and 7 at the 31. Elvis Gerback in the game. And that's incomplete, intended for Singleton.
Steve Young, who characterized his battle to the top as climbing a mountain, and there he has reached the pinnacle.
And he's got his arm around Ed DeBartolo, who's had to fight through the death of his father not long ago. The man who bought this franchise, and how sweet this must be for Eddie, given the recent death of his father. This has to be especially sweet for Ed DeBartolo. And boy, talk about a couple of bank breakers.
Eddie's got a lot of bank to break.
Yeah, he does. Man, can they mess up a cap?
At the 32-yard line, Darian Gordon brings it back to the 35-yard line.
Interesting thing, Al, you touched on something earlier, that because of the way they structured, the way they hired the players, and the way they brought them in, that next year, with all the bonuses kicking in, they're still not going to be that far over the cap.
Now, people keep talking about this team mortgaging the future. Carmen Policy and Eddie DeBartolo dispute that. They made what they felt were very rational decisions.
What I wouldn't give to know the feeling. For those of you that have never played in a Super Bowl, and I'm one of you, boy, that must be something else. That has got to be great.
Humphreys throwing, and the catch is made. Up at the 41-yard line, Mark Shea.
Well, I've never played in a Super Bowl, Dan, but I've played in
you've won a
National
championship.
Football League championship, and I've been on both sides of it, and I can feel for the Chargers too.
Yep. Well, I have much more experience.
Right.
I can tell you exactly what the Chargers feel like.
The great Cardinal legacy, right?
Oh yeah, I can tell you exactly how the Chargers feel, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
All right.
Jackie Rice, Jerry's wife.
Take your bow.
Yep. A little more jewelry coming into that safe deposit box at the
beautiful
Rice Manse.
Your guy is the best.
End of his 10th season in the league, and he's never been better.
And he's such a professional. That's the beauty of Jerry Rice.
Nobody on this team to this day, and he is in his 10th year, concluding it, works as hard as Jerry Rice. And that sets the standard for all of them. Beautiful shot.
There's a lot of good things in sports. it's unfortunate in one respect that this type of a celebration has to come at somebody's expense. And tonight, that bill was paid by the San Diego Chargers.
3rd and 3. Alfred Papuno makes the catch. Jerry Rice, and he has said he would love to own all of the records, and if he stays around for 3 or 4 or 5 more years, he will not only own them, he, like Gretzky in hockey, will just obliterate every record as you look at some of the marks.
Well, you see, he's 114 behind. He had 112 receptions this year.
But
so
everybody's going to get making more receptions with these new rules, and the records will be much more vulnerable.
Humphreys too deep, intended for Sean Jefferson.
I suggested that to him, and for you, Al and Dan heard what he said. He's not worried about that at all.
By the way, I asked him the other day, and you guys were there, and I said, who's the best cover corner you have faced in 10 years? He said,
oh, yeah,
Dion.
Darn right.
So they've taken the best cover corner he's ever faced and put him on his team.
Maybe he kicked in a little bit for Dion.
Good shot of Gary Plummer there. This is his first Super Bowl championship. How sweet that must be.
2nd and 10 as Humphreys guns one to the 43-yard line, and it's caught there by Tony Martin. And Dwight Clark came down and gave George Seifert a new jacket, a jacket that already signifies that the 49ers are the Super Bowl champions.
George, there's still 3 minutes left in this ball game.
3:10.
Pretty bold statement.
Ooh. Tim Harris comes in for the sack. There's Norton, who will become the first to win 3 Super Bowls. No teams won 3 in a row, but there's a guy who has played on 3 Super Bowl champions in successive seasons. Ken Norton.
Another sack for Harris. He's had a great playoff. Has hit 4 in the previous 2 games. Now a 5th playoff sack.
And Stan Humphreys is taking a beating in there and still giving it the old All-American try, and demonstrates it there with a completion for a first down.
Mark Say makes the catch. Clock ticking down to 2:40.
You know, Stan's hobbling up to the line of scrimmage. He is hurt, but boy, you got to admire his grittiness and stay with itness.
49-18. And wide open. We cut away from the play to see George Seifert taking his bath as Tony Martin makes the catch. And George Seifert with his to the accompaniment of the Charger cannon.
And I think George is saying, what's that cannon going off for?
Yeah, his brand new jacket.
I don't know that George is even aware of the fact that San Diego scored a touchdown yet. You know, he may not be too thrilled when he wipes off those glasses and find out that they scored.
And George Seifert changed a great deal with this ball club this year. Going all the way back to Detroit as we look at the touchdown. Stan Humphreys to Tony Martin. But in that Detroit game, when young William Floyd came out and said, come on, this is the 90s, George. That changed things a lot for this team.
Here's Humphreys looking for 2, and again he's successful on a 2-point conversion, and there's Alfred Papuno
and his coconut drink.
Yep.
Well, now they're down to 2 scores, 3 scores, 4 scores. Who cares how many scores? They'll try an onside kick for sure now.
49-26. There it is.
Well, Ricky Jackson.
Oh, George. The setup by Jesse Sapolo. And Ricky
Adam
Jackson
Walker.
a bit errant on his dumping there. Yeah, a little off to the left shoulder side there.
That's the only thing they've done wrong all night.
Yeah. Wasn't a clean splash. Well, the big gamble by Ricky Jackson paid off. Came in for minimum wage. A huge bonus for going to the Super Bowl, and now he's won it. Pop the top. And have a little juice.
Yeah, that's what I believe that
Roger
Craig.
Yeah,
Roger made his way down to the sideline. In fact, earlier this season they retired Rogers, or they brought him back and wanted him to retire as a 49er, and he did, even though he didn't play with him in preseason. So he exults with the rest of them. Junior Seau, there's no question that it hurts. It's not a good performance by the San Diego Chargers, but let's face it, when they look back upon this year, the perspective of the season, they went much further than almost anybody anticipated, and at least won the AFC for the first time in the long history of the Chargers, as the onside kick is fielded by Ed McCaffrey and taken there.
I'm not that good a lip reader, but I think one of the things Deion Sanders said was, "I love you, Mama."
He is very close to his family.
Good daddy. Well, a lot of records have fallen tonight, and we now have a mark for most points in a game. Both teams, 75 tonight. Dallas against Buffalo in a Dallas rout a couple of years back. The old mark, 69. And Pittsburgh, Dallas, that was their 35-31 game.
Of course, if it was going to be 78 points, I would have preferred 38-37.
You would have had the teacher say, "See me." That adds up to 75.
I thought that's what it was.
That's right. That is what it is. You're right.
Oh, no.
Sorry about that.
You go see the teacher,
you're right.
Al.
You're right at this point.
You go put on the dunce cap and stand in the corner.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Ed DeBartolo, he's going to put on a cap, and it's not going to be a dunce cap.
They're going to take a victory lap here on the way to the post-game ceremonies, which you'll be checking out here on ABC.
And we will still have the official coronation and the presentation of the Lombardi Trophy to the 49ers for the 5th time. They move to the head of the class. Al and I go see the teacher, but the 49ers definitely go to the head of the class.
And a class by themselves, and of course, when you talk about a class by themselves, well, there he is. 2:14 remaining. We caught a glimpse of Mike Shanahan. That's another story, as we detailed in the first half. Can they keep Mike, or will he become the head coach at Denver or Philadelphia, Rams? The other guy we haven't mentioned tonight yet, Ray Rhodes, the defensive coordinator of the 49ers, is a man being looked at by the Rams as well, and there he is.
Yep.
He posed that question to George Seifert, and he said, well, it's happened in the past, and he, of course, referred to the fact Dennis Green went off to Minnesota, and Ray Rhodes was gone, as a matter of fact, come back, and he was gone for a year and came back to take over the full job as defensive coordinator.
It's the price you pay for being a successful program. The San Francisco 49ers routinely pay that price, as do the Dallas Cowboys, as their coordinators move on to become head coaches elsewhere. And it is one of the big problems of being so successful.
Dexter Carter. Tackle of the 48 by Junior Seau.
Class, class, class.
2-minute warning. 49ers 120 seconds away from championship number 5.
I'd like to be him for just one day.
Just because you grew up, got a job, got married, and had a family, doesn't mean you have to get one of those, you know. Introducing Odyssey. With 4 doors and an easy fold-away rear seat. It's not just a minivan, it's a Honda.
Uh-oh.
What is it?
Nothing.
Don't you just love the wind through your hair?
What I have left.
Ah, the joys of a minivan. That big sliding door, the heavy removable third seat, and those rear windows that don't roll down. Oh, what could be better? Introducing Odyssey. With 4 doors and an easy fold-away rear seat, it's not just a minivan, it's a Honda.
Two minutes to go. The 49ers on top, 49-26. And most people figured the Niners would win by close to 3 touchdowns, and they have exceeded that.
How about some kudos while we're tossing them out to our crew tonight? Outstanding work, ladies and gentlemen. This is a huge production. Unless you've ever seen one up close and see the miles of cable and the number of people that work on this thing, it's mind-boggling.
Bill Musgrave comes into the game on 3rd and 24 as George Siebert's going to let every guy on the roster have a chance to say he played in a Super Bowl. Tomorrow on Good Morning America, Super Bowl heroes, key players from tonight's game on Good Morning America. And a look at the winners from the Battle of the Super Bowl commercials on Good Morning America tomorrow. I guess when you win a Super Bowl, it's easy to get up at that hour and join Charlie and Joan and the gang.
I'm not sure you have to get up.
You go straight over there. You're right.
You do it on the way home.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I don't think getting up's a problem.
Yep.
You're just looking for a place to bed down about that time.
Well, George Seifert, and it's funny, he made a curious statement, I thought, after the NFC Championship game. He said, "This is the highlight of my coaching career." I say curious because here's a guy who already won a Super Bowl title, and we talked to him about it the other day, and he said, "Hey, look, you know, after the last couple of years, and going back to '90 when they felt they should have been in the Super Bowl as well, the pressure had mounted to such a degree that this one against Dallas, the NFC Championship, meant more to him than the Super Bowl title in his rookie season as a coach."
The winningest coach percentage-wise in the history of this game, and I hope he gets his due. Well, there's a good-looking ball.
Wilmsmeyer, and that's fair caught at the 7-yard line by Darian Gordon.
Bobby Ross, who's been successful wherever he's coached, there'll be another day. He is now finishing his 3rd season with the Chargers. Had a remarkable 11-5 in his first year, and last year lost a lot of players, slipped to 8-8. This year, nobody gave them a shot to go anywhere. They lost their leading receiver, their leading rusher, revamped their entire defense behind this man, Junior Seau, and yet they pulled together another 11-5 season.
He'll take it and build on it.
A pretty good organization. One of the question marks will be defensive coordinator Bill Arnsparger. Will he choose to continue? It's his option, according to Bobby Ross.
49ers leading by 23 as Humphreys throws. The catch is made. And to the 21-yard line goes Mark Say. And that's a first down with 1:28 ticking down.
There's Bill Arnsparger, the defensive architect for 5 different Super Bowls. 2 of them, the great Super Bowl for Miami in '72 and '73. Went on to be head coach of the Giants, '74, '75. Fired there in '76. Was an athletic director at LSU when he decided he wanted to get back into coaching 2 years ago.
Humphreys, and the catch is made by Tony Martin. Up at the, or is he? No, he's out of bounds. Was Martin incomplete? 2nd down.
The thing that will haunt San Diego as they make the trip back to the West Coast are the mistakes that they made early. The first 2 touchdowns to the San Francisco 49ers, where they are beaten down the middle of the field when they're in position to make the plays and don't, will, I think, for a long time make Bobby Ross and everybody involved with the Chargers organization wonder, what could we have done if we would not have just given them a couple cheapies at the beginning of the ball game. And then receivers for the Chargers early in the ball game weren't hanging on to the football. They just made it too easy for San Francisco too early in the ball game.
Buffon, who made that last catch, and a timeout is taken with 52 seconds remaining in the game, and that was the last thing that San Diego could afford to have happen. To fall behind early in the game, when we touched on it at the top, they're a team that has come from behind, but this is a team facing them that you don't want to fall behind against, and we talked about how important it was for that man Humphreys to be hot at the top of the game and all of the rest, and you just can't you just can't fall behind, as Dallas found out, of course, 2 weeks ago as well.
Yeah, good point. I think all in all, Stan Humphries has held together awfully well tonight. I think he's thrown the ball well. I think he has, Frank, in my opinion, I think Stan Humphries played a pretty good, doggone good football.
He's had a great season. Another great season when they brought him here in '92. Bobby Method brought him here. He threw for over 3,300 yards. He's got a great one-loss record.
2 timeouts left for San Diego as Humphries looks over the middle, and that's incomplete at the 46-yard line, intended for Mark Say.
Gary Plummer, the former San Diego Charger, kind of lost in San Diego in the shadow of the great Junior Seau while he played there, but he was a fine linebacker, and the 49ers certainly wanted him. And there's Gary Kubiak. He is the man who communicates to Steve Young, getting the plays from Mike Shanahan, and I'm quite sure discussing the plays with Shanahan.
And he'll collect the championship ring.
2nd down and 10 at the 39-yard line. And Humphries guns one. It's caught at the 43. And Tony Martin makes the catch there. And I think a few people around this great land of ours have moved to the forward portion of the couch at the moment. You better believe it. 27 seconds and the clock ticking down at the 44-yard line. Humphries throws. Here's Ronnie Harmon making the catch, and he is stopped at the 35-yard line. And a timeout is taken by the San Diego Chargers.
Mike Shanahan has made his way down from the booth, and he's hugging Steve Young. And again, as we talked about earlier, will he or won't he be back?
He's such a wonderful extension of this offense. You can get the feel, and as it flows down to Gary Kubiak and out onto the field into Steve Young's helmet, and of course Steve Young given a lot of options to change at the line of scrimmage, but Shanahan, as he spoke to us, said, I'm so comfortable with everything here, and that may play into the factor as to whether or not he will decide to leave the 49ers.
Merton Hanks doing a little Freddie Mercury out there.
Dion. Well, it's 2nd down and 1 at the 35-yard line. To the strains of We Will Rock You. The ball is snapped to Humphries. Humphries going deep and incomplete, intended for Martin with 10 seconds remaining.
Dion all the way back at the goal line, playing center field here for the 49ers. Strategically placing himself farthest from anybody on the entire field.
Steve Young, officially the Super Bowl most valuable player.
And as good as, and you know, once again, Jerry Rice turns in a sensational football game, worthy of being a most valuable player in a Super Bowl, but yet eclipsed by a quarterback who turned in even bigger numbers.
Hearts beating all over the land as Humphries throws incomplete. And it is now 4th down with 2 seconds remaining.
And San Francisco leading 49-26.
So you're talking about our.
So there's time for one more.
Our cruise pool down there.
No.
That was very imaginative.
Not at all.
Some of our guys sweating it up.
We're not talking about anything. We're just talking.
Just mumbling. So this will be the final play of the game, barring a defensive penalty at the 35-yard line. 49ers leading by 23. Humphries putting it up, and it is out of the end zone. And why not? Dion out of the end zone winds up with a football. He gets the game ball.
Dion catches that one in the bullpen.
The 49ers wrap up one of the great seasons in the history of the National Football League as George Seifert wins his 2nd Super Bowl title. The Niners, the first team to win 5. And Steve Young, the first to throw 6 touchdown passes in a Super Bowl game. 49-26.
It's hard to describe the feeling. This all began back in July for these players. It's a year-round job for them, but This is what they all battle for, what they fight for, they go through the pain for. The very top.
A lot more still to come from Miami. We'll be back. Leading from start to finish, Steve Young throwing a total of 6 touchdown passes. The first one he threw came early in the game to Jerry Rice, the fastest in Super Bowl history, and the 6th to Jerry Rice with 13:49 to play in the game. He's the MVP. The Niners are 5-time Super Bowl champs and will return to Miami after this.
ABC Sports exclusive coverage of Super Bowl 29. Brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers. For all you do, this Bud's for you. Soloflex, America's muscle company.
Commissioner Paul Tagliabue comes in to present the Vince Lombardi Trophy. We welcome now up here on the stand with us Candy DiBartolo, the wife of the owner, his sister Denise, the winning coach George Seifert, the president over here on my left, Carmen Policy, and of course Eddie. Commissioner, the stand is yours.
Eddie and Denise, Carmen, George, in this 75th anniversary season of the league, we have relived many of the memorable performances of the greatest teams in the history of the National Football League. Today, the 49ers secured their place in those history books with a memorable performance. You become the first team to win 5 Super Bowls. Your extraordinary players, led by Steve Young and Jerry Rice, secure their own place in the history books and the record books for the league and its millions and millions of fans throughout the world. We congratulate you and give you the Lombardi Trophy. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, guys. First of all, we want to congratulate the San Diego Chargers for playing a great game and for having a great year. Guys, you're all warriors. The coaching staff, Carmen, my family, George, the players. I don't have to say anything to you guys. You know. To my sister Denise, this is a very, very important victory. This one is for Dad. Thank you. I love you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, and Eddie, I want you to stand by because we have a call from the President of the United States. President Clinton's on the line and would like to speak with you right now.
Eddie, can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. President, I can.
It's nice to hear your voice. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, sir.
I want to say to you and to George and Carmen and to all your wonderful players, it was the whole season was thrilling for all of us, and I think the best thing I could say about the 49ers is I haven't met a single fan anywhere in America who resents all the success you've had, and that's a rare thing, and it's a real tribute to you, to the coach, and to the players, and the way you've won and the way you've conducted yourself, and we're all happy and proud of you tonight.
Well, Mr. President, I can't thank you enough for taking the time, and I know from a very busy schedule, and we're all your backers, and I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you. Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you very much.
I like seeing George without his glasses. He looks good.
Coach George Seifert now. And, George, that was just a spectacular performance from beginning to end.
Well, it was a wonderful job, certainly, by the coaching staff and all the players. And I'm so very happy for Eddie and his family, and certainly for all the players that don't have Super Bowl rings. This was something that was real special for us. We wanted to come here and make history, and to be part of that is pretty exciting.
George, it was easy. When you look back on it and you break down, you're going to say, oh, baby.
Well, I don't know if they're all that easy. I think, you know, San Diego did a wonderful job this season. I think our football team certainly did, too. This started a long time ago. It started months and months ago. Carmen and Eddie got together and the entire organization, and everybody just picked up the ball and run with it.
All right. Thank you very much, George. Congratulations on a job well done. As you can see up here, having joined us is the most valuable player. And when we come back, we are going to hear from the man who threw 6 touchdown passes and is the MVP of Super Bowl 29. A tremendous moment for Steve Young when we continue.
The Super Bowl 29 postgame is brought to you by the new Ford Explorer, far and away the best Explorer ever. The Pepsi-Cola Company, who reminds you that nothing else is a Pepsi. And Budweiser, the king of beers, who reminds you friends know when to say when.
song.
Great song.
You can make mountains ring. Oh,
Welcome to the big game, and today's favorite takes the field. Leading the league in carries. Unbelievable. I'll say it again, you just can't win without a strong defense. Man, I'm here to tell you, impressive running game out there. The new Ford Explorer, far and away the best the world has to offer. Look at that. Perfect field position.
It's the event you've waited for. The Prize Patrol is live in Phoenix, Arizona, where moments ago we surprised Marianne Brandt.
Marianne?
Yes?
Could you come here, please? Yeah. Marianne, you've just won $10 million from Publishers Clearinghouse. All of America's watching. What have you got to say?
$10 million.
Yeah. It's the...
There's only one way I know how to drive.
Straight. If you've been drinking, pick someone else to do the driving. A message from Budweiser.
Hey, is Extreme on yet? Nah, just the Super Bowl. Wake me up when Extreme is on.
The winter heats up next after the post-game show with Extreme on ABC.
Thursday, imagine the real Rambo, really ticked off at our government. How mad is he? He's got followers on a mountaintop preparing for just about anything. Prepare yourself for Bo Greitz. Day 1, Thursday.
Live from Super Bowl 29, this is the Ford Explorer postgame report.
Well, Steve Young, the most valuable player of this Super Bowl, I can't remember ever being around someone hugging the trophy with more feeling than you are right now, Steve.
Brent, I can't describe the feeling. That's why football is the ultimate team game, is because you do it with 47, 50 other guys, and the commitment it takes, it's unbelievable. And when you get there, you share it with all those guys. There's an emotional, it's like geometric 50 times 50, the emotion that you feel. And there was a commitment made by everybody on this team. Mr. DeBartolo had a tough season this year with his father dying. We committed to that, and we committed to each other. There's a lot of people that are writing our organization off, and a lot of us as players. And I'm
Steve, you stay right here, because I want to bring in Jerry Rice, who said to you a moment ago, this is something you will never forget. And a lot of us will never forget you coming out, having heard rumors that you were sick last night, you might not play at all, and you got an early, quick touchdown. Jerry, first of all, tell us about your physical condition and how you felt. You took a tough blow from Darian Gordon in the game, too.
Yeah, I had a bruised shoulder, and I was not 100%, but I just kept going out there with the attitude that I would make some plays, and the guys, they had confidence in me, and Steve kept throwing the ball my way, and we made the plays, and, you know, I'm happy for everybody in here, the young guys, the older guys, and, you know, this is something you'll never forget.
Steve, let's take a look at the first touchdown pass. It seemed to set the mood for the night.
Really did.
Tell us about this play.
Well, we'd set it up. We hadn't shown San Diego. We played them twice before, and it was a play that we'd set up the first 2 games. Jerry made a great move and got open down the middle and really set the tone for the day. And I have to give Jerry so much credit. I mean, he had to go in and take all kinds of shots to block his shoulder. He separated it, continued to play. And, you know, Jerry Rice with one arm is better than everyone in the league with 2 arms.
Well, Jerry Rice, here you are with the one arm, and this is the record breaker. Talk to us.
Well, on that particular play, I really wanted to work the defensive back, and Steve put the ball in an ideal position. He really gunned that one, so I could tell he was really fired up, and somehow I made the catch, and everything else is history.
Jerry, some of the folks didn't have the opportunity to experience the great feeling that this team demonstrated when they came in. There seems to be a great deal of togetherness on this year's 49er team.
Without a doubt, this team is so close right now. You know, it took a while, and, you know, I think we started gelling at the right time. And now, you know, we go out with the attitude that we're going to play together as a collective group, and we win football games.
Now, was the shoulder separated completely, or was it just bruised when you took that hit?
Well, they told me it was a slight separation, and it was very difficult for me to get my arm over my head. Somehow when the ball, when Steve threw the ball in the air, I made the effort, got my hands over my head, and made the catch.
Just a great job by the San Francisco 49ers. Right now, let's go upstairs now to Al, Dan, and Frank. Gentlemen.
Final thought, Al, mine is with Steve Young. I watched him play in high school in Greenwich. I watched him become a great quarterback, but still not achieve the fame and what he has achieved tonight. He said he'd climbed the pinnacle, he'd reached the top. I felt a great emotion with him.
Mine is with the 49ers as an organization. It started when Bill Walsh was hired by Eddie DeBartolo in '79. A couple of years to get up to speed. They've kept the system in place. They don't miss a beat. Other teams rebuild and retool and go through the peaks and the valleys. The 49ers don't. They have played at the highest level for a decade and a half, and I don't think you can look ahead and say that they're going to fall off the table anytime soon. It's an amazing accomplishment, and DeBartolo, Policy, Walsh, Seifert, and the rest should get all of the credit they deserve.
It really is nothing more than a statement on the fact that we have known all season long, that the 49ers and the Cowboys were on a level all by themselves, and now the rest of the National Football League is still trying to play catch-up. All right, right now let's go back downstairs, and Lynn Swan has Bobby Ross.
Dan, thank you very much. Coach, let's talk a little bit about the ball game. Give us your thoughts and your views at this moment, please.
Well, I think San Francisco is a great football team. I said all along they were, Lynn, and for us to, you know, stay in the football game, we had to play well. I don't want to take anything away from San Francisco because I think they're a great football team, but we played poorly. We just didn't play well. We were never in sync defensively the whole ball game from, I think, the third play on when our safety got way out of position on a simple little post pattern, and it was downhill from there. Offensively, we felt like we could move the ball, but we're not a football team that likes to get into a situation where we got to throw every play. We like to try to keep the run in it, and when we got behind and weren't able to do that, you know, that hurt us. Probably a play that, you know, we should not have gone for it deep in our own territory when I did, but I felt like we could make it, and seemed like we had a little momentum there. We might have a chance at it, but I think the biggest thing is that the 49ers are a hell of a football team.
What do you think led to this kind of performance by your team, and what does this mean as you have to then regroup, look at this game, and look at next year?
Well, you know, the thing that did disappoint me was that we just didn't play certain things well. I don't know. It was whether we were awestruck or what. I mean, right from the opening kickoff with a face mask on a penalty, and then we had another 15-yard penalty, which was a good call. It wasn't a poor call or anything of that nature. They put us in poor field position. Maybe some of it was youthfulness, over-eagerness. Maybe we were a little surprised by the quickness of the 49ers. We should not have been. We played them twice. But nevertheless, their efficiency and their execution is something that's very, very special.
Coach, I know it's hard for you to come up here and talk after this defeat. We thank you very much for your time.
Good, man.
All right, let's go back over to Brent Musburger.
All right, Lynn, again, it was 49-26 San Francisco. We come back. We're going to hear from the first man in history to play on 3 straight Super Bowl winners. But flying 1,000 feet above Joe Robbie Stadium this evening is the Bud One airship, the aerial ambassador of the King of Beers. And a word from our ABC stations.
Football can be exciting, but truck football, now that's a rush. So if you're going to tackle it, you better get a hold of the right equipment. A 1995 Ford Ranger 4x4.
Red 39!
Complete with switch-on 4-wheel drive, new 4-wheel anti-lock brakes, and a whopping 4-liter V6. So get a Ford Ranger 4x4 and play truck football.
How am I going to spike this thing?
Hey, you get a tough case of athlete's foot. The itching, the cracking, the burning. You want a medicine that acts tough. Boom, Tough-Actin Tenactin. Clinically proven Tenactin cures even tough cases of athlete's foot fungus. Get Tough-Actin Tenactin.
There's a place where lovers go to cry their troubles away, and they call it Lonesome Town, where the broken hearts stay. Yes! You can buy a dream or two.
Saturday, ABC Sports has football's top talent, bowling's kingpins in Texas, and skating's premier pairs. First, the NFL's top stars test their skills in the Miller Lite Pro Bowl Battle of the Gridiron. Then on ABC's Pro Bowlers Tour, it's the Quaker State 250. And on ABC's Wide World of Sports, it's elegance and artistry on the ice. Two-time Olympic gold medalists Gordieva and Grinkov headline the field in the pairs competition at the Fresh Look World Challenge of Champions. It's all Saturday here on ABC.
Faster, roomier, more aerodynamic. To our esteemed competitors who've been pursuing us for years, chase this. The entirely new 1995 Lexus LS 400 with no increase in price. Woof. See your New York, New Jersey, Connecticut Lexus dealer. The hunt is over.
More and more people are stopping by for a cleaner burning gasoline that offers lower emissions. They're stopping by for reformulated gasolines from Exxon for improved air quality without sacrificing performance. New Exxon reformulated gasolines, cleaner burning for cleaner air and reliable performance.
Monday's open. We're holding an auction, and our audience is making a steal.
Live from Super Bowl 29, this is the Ford Explorer postgame report.
Coming up next, you'll meet a whole new group who will make this the hottest winter ever. It's the special preview of Extreme. New on ABC, starting right after our postgame coverage next. This, without a doubt, was the hottest team tonight. Ricky Jackson here on my left, and this young man, Ken Norton, first man in history to play on 3 consecutive Super Bowl winners. Tell me the difference between the two with Dallas and the one here tonight with San Francisco.
I tell you, each year it gets better and better. You kind of think that after 3 years it gets kind of old hat, but it doesn't. I tell you, Dallas was fantastic for me. It was time for me to change, come out here and help this team, a very hungry team, get to the podium, get to the top of the hill and look down on everybody else. And I come over here 14 years, my buddy over here. Everybody's talking about my third, but 14 years, he gets his first. And I tell you, it's more special for me to see him get his first after 14 years.
Yeah, that's got to be a great feeling for you, Ricky, coming over here as a free agent and winning a Super Bowl.
It was a great feeling for me. I mean, my whole career, I mean, just summing up. I mean, I done had 14 great years, and to get lucky and get on a team like this would have such a great offense. I mean, all they needed was a couple of defensive players, and I know that they could beat Dallas and go to Super Bowl. That was an easy decision for me.
Pretty easy. When Steve Young and the offense got you the early touchdowns tonight, you could really tee off on them.
Yeah, we knew coming in, Natron Means wanted to run downhill. We knew that they want to say, let's control the ball. Their best defense was a good offense. They learned early on they couldn't do that. They had to start running trickery plays, screens, and things like that. They got down all those points, and they had to come out of the game plan, and we took over from there.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
The San Francisco 49ers have won a record 5th Super Bowl here tonight. And at the controls of the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes today has been Captain Larry Chambers. Larry, thanks for the great coverage up above Joe Robbie Stadium tonight here in Miami.
Welcome to the big game. And today's favorite takes the field. Leading the league in carries. Unbelievable. I'll say it again. You just can't win without a strong defense. Man, I'm here to tell you, impressive running game out there. The new Ford Explorer, far and away the best the world has to offer. Look at that. Perfect field position.
we built this jump and flooded it to introduce Goodyear's all-new Wrangler AquaTread for light trucks and sport utilities. Two aqua channels sweep water away. You get the sheer rugged toughness of a Goodyear Wrangler and the outstanding wet traction of a Goodyear AquaTread. The all-new 50,000-mile Wrangler AquaTread, only from Goodyear.
Hey, you get a tough case of athlete's foot, the itching, the cracking, the burning. You want a medicine that acts tough. Boom! Tough-actin Tenactin. Clinically proven Tenactin cures even tough cases of athlete's foot fungus. Get tough-actin Tenactin.
Now, an oil made just for your hard-working engine. 4x4 from Quaker State. Off-roading, extreme temperatures, towing and hauling. They all make your light truck or 4x4 work extra hard and could shorten its life. Why settle for a conventional car oil? Get 4x4 from Quaker State.
Now, an independent test showed 4x4 superior to leading conventional car oils in protecting against deposits that can shorten engine life.
Do you feel safe behind your locked door? Don't bet your life on it. Robbery, assault, or even worse.
I never was concerned that if I locked my door, that I would be raped.
What some landlords don't want you to know. A 2020 undercover investigation, Friday.
You gotta be bad, you gotta be bold, you gotta be wiser. You gotta be cool, you gotta be calm, you gotta stay together.
Well, tomorrow on Good Morning America, Super Bowl heroes, key players from tonight's game. Also tomorrow, a look at the winners from the Battle of the Super Bowl commercials. Plus Whoopi Goldberg on tomorrow's Good Morning America, right here on ABC. Well, it was 49-26, and it probably wasn't that close. The 49ers, with a quick 14-point burst, blew away the San Diego Chargers, and now for 11 straight years, the NFC has proven its dominance in a Super Bowl. And again, we have seen a Super Bowl blow wide open. This time, it was the 49ers. They have now done it for a record 5th time. The MVP was Steve Young, the first man to throw 6 touchdown passes in any Super Bowl. He had a lot of help. Jerry Rice was again magnificent, and the defense did the rest. If this had been a fight, ladies and gentlemen, they'd have stopped it real early here tonight. So long, everybody.
The Ford Explorer postgame report has been brought to you by the new Ford Explorer, far and away the best Ford Explorer ever. And Goodyear, makers of the all-new Wrangler AquaTread for light trucks, vans, and sport utility vehicles. Next Sunday on ABC Sports, it's off to Hawaii as the NFL's biggest names battle it out in pro football's All-Star Showcase. It's the AFC-NFC Pro Bowl. Now stay tuned for the special preview of Extreme, starring James Brolin, here on ABC. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television.